Hi, greetings of the day. And today I'm going to handle a lecture called The Domestic Maid by Anita Desai. And I deem this opportunity to introduce myself as Dr. Vidyavati, Assistant Professor, Kristu Jayanti, deemed to be University. And this is a beautiful short story by Anita Desai, famous Indian novelist. And let me share my screen. So this is the story. The title is Domestic Maid by Anita Desai. And when it comes to Anita Desai, I always like Anita Desai because she represents our culture with a modern perspective. And she is hailed as the mother of Indian psychological novel. And she always focuses on social and political issues, and we can find the inner lives and psyche of her characters. We can get the mindset of the characters while skimming through the novel. And she's very good in her depicting of characters with power. Her female protagonists are always very powerful. We can find she's very rich in her poetic prose, rich imagery, and the use of symbols. Simple symbols she'll present in a perfect manner, impeccable manner, like birds, gardens, weather, to represent emotions, internal emotions. She is also the recipient of Booker Prize, Sahitya Academy Award, Guardian Children's Fiction Prize, and the much known, much prestigious award Padma Bhushan. Her famous works include Cry the Peacock, Fire on the Mountain, Fasting, Feasting, Where Shall We Go This Summer, etc. These are beautiful pieces which will create a turmoil when we start reading the work. When it comes to this story, The Domestic Maid, it is a small story, but it conveys a beautiful message. And to talk about this, The Domestic Maid is a poignant short story. It depicts the life of the protagonist. Her name is Geeta. She is an exploited because we can find her life will be totally stuck in poverty, family, and her job. Impoverished villager working in posh urban apartment, and we can find the setting is the luxury high-rise apartment in urban India. As I said, she is the protagonist. She is a migrant worker struggling to balance between work and family. And we can find the conflict arises in the work when Geeta goes late to her employer's place. Asha started screaming at her, and she lashes out verbal abuses and threats of firing her. And when the story moves on, the resolution is that she leaves at the end of the day. She finds solace in talking to her friend Shaya, who is also a maid who works in that apartment complex. So there is no particular end we can find. The life will go on. That is what is the end we can deduce from this short story. And there are minimal characters in the story, like Geeta, who is the protagonist, Asha, who is the employer of Geeta, Chaya, who is the friend of Geeta, Prakash, who is the husband of Geeta. And we can find during their village life, he was an auto rickshaw man, and he used to beat at Geeta. He always asked her to ask for loan because he couldn't walk to his factory, which is 2 kilometers from his place. As he wants to buy a cycle, he will beat Geeta to get loan from Asha. We can find as the story goes on. And maids. In the beginning of the story itself, we can find the hustle and bustle of the city, and where the maids will be like in flock, they will be going to apartment complex in order to carry out their work like sweeping, etc. And we can find the categorization of maids also, whereas the unmarried maids will be taking housekeeping and married maids will be taking part-time works. So securities who play a major role, like letting them in, checking their ID cards, and mocking at them, which we can see in this story. When it comes to comparison between the main characters, I've given the comparison of two main characters, Geeta and Asha. When we analyze Geeta, she belongs to marginalized class. She moved from village to the city for the sake of good comfort, but later she finds her work is like loggerheads with family, and food scarcity will be there always, in which we can find little food she'll keep for her child and comes to work. And she views employer as a harsh judge because we can find Asha going on screaming at her. She's trapped in her workplace because it is need like she has to work. And she's a responsible mother and she's dedicated in her work because she will say, even Asha is very good. When she wants money, she will loan her. When it comes to Asha's character, we're not clear whether they belong to middle class or upper class family, but by the story we can deduce they belong to upper class. And she lives in an air conditioned apartment. She sees maid as her irritating object. She is also trapped in her office as she is a working woman. We can find the stress being thrown on Geeta by Asha. She is also a responsible mother. We can find she has a daughter who goes to a convent school. Important themes which we can see in this short story is invisible labor, in which domestic labors are physically present but they are mentally ignored. So we can find even these days how they are treated in a very miserable way. And the gated community, especially, it symbolizes the iron curtain between the rich and poor. We can find silence versus noise because we can find throughout the story, Geeta maintains silence in order to pursue her life. And whereas Asha is always screaming and shouting. And the lack of empathy is seen where maids are treated as objects. And when they go on a vlog, people will just look on to their noise and they turn back as there is nothing attracting about maids. We can find all this when we go through the story. Other motives which we can find in the story is the illusion of the dream city because Geeta moves from village to city before 3 years, as the story says, to find comfort. But still, she finds only glittering poverty, glittering because the roads will be glittering. Gender and power, it also shows the gender or male chauvinism where Prakash beats Geeta and she'll get hurt and she'll go to a dispensary. That's the reason she comes late to Asha's house. Urban isolation can be seen because despite it's a big city and the people are very social, loneliness is always there when it comes to marginalized clan and dedication, the element which is seen in Gita. Though Asha shouts, she keeps quiet. She wins through her silence, which we can see. And the conclusion is the story neither ends happily nor in a sad manner. Class remains unchanged. As the adage goes on, rich will remain rich and poor remains poor. The struggle of life has to go on because the struggles will be always there in life. One can't be always in comfort, or one can't be always in a pitiable plight. It is like a wheel which goes round and round. And friendship gives solace. This is a beautiful concept which can be seen when Chaya supports Geeta, and she will even say, If you feel so much hurt, I'll find a good job for you in this apartment complex. So attitude of people is seen between the classes, and how the security guards mock at these maids, and how they view everything is seen. And even Asha's outlook, she beautifully admires the feng shui and other things in apartments. And we can find clearly Anita Desai has demarcated the class of people and how it affects the society through this work. Though it is a small story, we have so many messages, like we have to treat everybody as human being without seeing all these demarcations. Maids are also human beings, they work for us, so we have to keep them comfortable so that they will have that bonding. So this is what is the message I can say. And thanks for your patient listening. Thank you. Have a nice day.